And honestly, BratOK is, as far as I'm concerned, not all that comfortable with mech play. We don't see an awful lot from him, not as much as I would like. He's much more into the bio, and that's a very, very common Terran strategy, but in this case, I think mech is probably a better idea.
We'll have to see what he decides to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, we bring you the one and only Imber FXO BratOK. He is in the red trunks and he is to the east playing Terran versus his opponent, the one and only Stephano. He is in the pink trunks and he is playing, of course, for Team Millennium, and he is Zerg to the west of the Terminus SE.
Cross positions. This is, you know, like I've mentioned many times, it can be bad and good for Terran. It's good in the sense that Terran can easily just push in the middle towards the Zerg as they try to expand, cut the map in half almost, and then switch to the right and left-hand side lane, in this case north and south lanes, to actually decide on which way they want to strangle the Zerg's economy.
Yes, indeed they can. Stephano moving out right now with a little bit of drone scouting action, and it's almost certain, I would think, that he's going to play for a fast expansion. There's no real reason not to.
Yeah, I mean, just go for fast expansion. It's a really, really big map. You don't want to be going for any early aggression, really. And look at this, we are seeing BratOK going for a barracks down on the lower ground. It can be complemented by a second barracks, which looks like it will be as the
I think so.
SCV comes down. And I think BratOK's left with questions above his head as well. It might be just a scout, but no, it is going to be another barracks. And like I said, he is left with a few question marks above his head on how to beat Stephano. And, you know, this may be one way. But as you mentioned, Stephano sent out an early drone scout for stuff like this.
Yeah, and it's going to see the barracks quite quickly. So responding to this shouldn't really be too big a deal for Stephano. Certainly a quality of player like Stephano. Nice aggressive 2-racks might work on the ladder in this particular caliber of play. I don't necessarily think so. So Stephano will respond to that one. Spawning pool is coming down for him. He's not really too concerned at this point. And we're going to have to see if BratOK can pull off something legendary here.
Will he be able to do that? Stephano goes up to 17, then we'll get the Overlord and we'll save love after that. Ready to pump out 6-lings immediately. We'll go for Queen as well. He's not going to go for gas, I don't think. If he's feeling comfortable, then he definitely will. But it's better off just to go and spend all your money now in Lings and Queens to pretty much defend this. He might have to pull drones very, very shortly as well. But the problem with this build as well, that BratOK actually didn't know where the opponent spawned. So he's only just found out. And he hasn't even found out, but obviously he's scouted north and south and knows where he is.
Absolutely. He doesn't know what he's about to come up against, but I think he's got a pretty good idea considering Stephano's build at this point. And we'll see what BratOK decides to do here. He's actually pulled the SCVs back. He's gone in with another one. He's actually just pulling back entirely. He's not comfortable with this one little bit. Stephano actually pulled maybe a few too many drones right there. I think perhaps he thought that this 2 barracks of bunker pressure was coming, and this was a little bit of a fake right here from BratOK.
Yeah, and it was a bit of a feint, and as you can see, he's just expanding safely behind. He can add on a 3rd barracks and be completely bailing safe now. And there we see. He's going to have to be careful of those destructible debris, though. If Stephano does want to put the heat on, that's where it will come from. Yep. And if he doesn't, he's going to take a very fast 3rd to that south location. He's just going to macro very, very hard and go for his trademark Infester Link style of play.
Oh yes, he's got a lot of different options right here. There's all sorts of things he can do. He's going to go and scout that. He'll find that there's a 3 barracks wall off, which of course indicates to him almost certainly there is an expansion, and there's a very, very big risk of BratOK taking a fast 3rd. He will know that for a fact, simply because of how hard that wall off is. It is pretty much Baneling proof. And now of course he's going to have a little bit of a nibble at these destructible rocks. Yeah,
I mean, the biggest thing that told him that a fast 3rd is possible is the fact that the lights of the barracks were off, which you don't really see very often, and obviously he's saving up money for something, which is in this case going to be that fast expansion. And look at all these Marines just going down as sacrificial humans to these Zerg.
It's an offering, what can we say? It's in respect to Stephano's skills. He didn't actually have speed there. He didn't really need it. He's only just started it after that. And BratOK's Marine micro is simply not good enough to deal with Stephano at this point.
And he's gone back to the rocks. 1 Marine does scout it though, so BratOK's going to have to be a little bit cautious with that. Probably wall off this area with supply depots to be safe. Maybe a bunker if he does feel threatened. Meanwhile, we see Stephano getting speed. The next 100 will probably be going into the lair as he adds that 3rd queen and more extractors. Just nothing but drones, baby.
Yep. And BratOK cleans that up. Some damage has been done to the debris, but nothing to really concern himself with too much. And Stephano just absolutely relaxed right now. He doesn't need to worry about anything at all. That said, of course, grabbing this fast 3rd is going to be potentially very, very good for BratOK. He's well defended against it. He may force Stephano to go with something of a different style. That's interesting. That hatchery actually looks like it's a little bit out of position. Maybe it's just my perspective on that, but whatever the case, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. And there's the factory follow-up right here for BratOK.
Would you think a player like Stephano would make such a newbie mistake?
No, I would not, but it looks a little bit out of position. I could be wrong. It's probably just the texture on the ground.
And so far, nothing but structures and drones and upgrades in Stephano's tab. It does not need any units whatsoever. Everything is going into the later stages of this game. We now have that layer going down. I wouldn't be surprised to see the fourth gas and, well, third and fourth gas being taken very, very shortly. There goes the double evolution chamber, +1 carapace. The scan comes down, sees the expo, and also sees that evolution chamber.
Oh yes, he knows it's coming, and the question is, what does he do against it? What is his grand plan right here? He's actually adding on 2 more barracks. It's a really heavy bio push, so this mech that we thought might be coming evidently is not. There's a starport adding on as well, so I think it's just going to be straight Marine Marauder medevac.
Yeah, and well, I probably won't be seeing the Marauders, just Marines, into the medevacs, and then doing a lot of damage, multiple drops, and then a big push through the middle. And he has got that third base up, which is nice for BratOK. He's keeping up with the times. He's only at, well, he's at 38 SUVs with 2 mules, compared to 44 drones right now.
Not bad.
And Stephano has got complete map control. If you look at his vision, you know, Zelnaga Tower, his overlords, he sees the instant that BratOK decides to push out. And as I mentioned many, many times before, as soon as you see that, you instantly switch over to units, and you have such a long time before those units actually get to your base.
Yeah, you do. Stephano being incredibly greedy, actually. He pulls down another 12 drones, up to 55 now. His army supply count is now, well, it was at 7. He's just built a bunch of Zerglings right here. +1/+1 is on its way. It may or may not be ready by the time that these Marines arrive. I think he's going to be waiting for Stim. Not taking Marine Shield, which is kind of interesting. I think that's simply because he's only got 1 tech lab available right now.
And I'm sure he'll go for that very, very shortly after that Stim finishes. Though the Panathin Glans is on the way. 1-1 is on the way for Stephano. He'll go directly into 2-2. And he's just looking so good right now, just so clean. And this is going to be difficult because there's literally nothing that BratOK could do against this composition as it gets late game. He's now adding on siege or tanks, not yet siege mode. And even if BratOK decides to push out now, the infestors are already on the way, and by the time they get to the other side of Terminus, it's going to be shut down.
Yeah, exactly. It's like getting at the end of a really long walk and finding that the tea room at the end is closed. It's not very nice. Whatever the case, that BratOK is going to be slaughtered right there. Needless to say, a very large composition. And the drop is coming from the top, and it looks like he actually has avoided the majority of those overlords. I mean, the overlord spread is really nice, but he doesn't have a huge amount of warning that this drop is coming. He must be expecting it, though, surely.
I'm not sure what he's expecting. I don't think he's expecting this, to be honest. I mean, even though the Zerglings are pulling back, I don't think he expects it. It may catch him by surprise, but these infestors now have fungal growths, 4 fungal growths and a lot of links. He sees it immediately, pulls off drones, and just pulls the infestors up. Yep,
and once he gets the infestors, that's going to be messy. And a quick split by BratOK. And it now gets out with a reasonable number of units. And will the Infestor get it? It will. And there's the follow. A very nice catch. And a couple of Infested Terrans, plus a Queen to back that one up. Another Fungal Growth would shut that one down. Oh, he slips away, only just. But there's not exactly a lot left in that.
No, nothing. And now we're almost at the Hive. I'm sure the Ultralisk Den will go down immediately. And what do you combat with? I mean, I don't know what he can do now. I'm really struggling to find out a way that BratOK can beat this style.
Harsh language.
He's adding on 2 factories now as well, and 2 medevacs. I'll go in south to continue dropping, but the Overlords are in a little bit better position guarding the south location.
Indeed.
So he's going to see it again, but now he's adding on a couple of factories, and he has got siege tanks up, so he can go into a very heavy mech style now.
And he really has to. Right? He has no choice in the matter. The Marine composition is not working. It's being too easily shut down. Stephano has too many Zerglings that are already at +1/+1, and also, of course, he's got fungal growth in the mix, which makes that incredibly hard. BratOK now splitting off this drop. Looks like he's going to try and harass and maybe deny this hatchery, but it's just not going to happen. The Zerglings will shut it down immediately, and perhaps even just pulling back, and a single drop will come into this south location. Queen already moving to intercept, and the Zerglings well on the way. This will barely be down on the ground before it gets covered in bees.
And the Queen survives, and the drop leaves. Meanwhile, there is a drop in the main, just 3 Marines, but two Spine Crawlers here, and a Queen.
Yeah, but he's not too worried. And the Queen will live as well, so he cleans this up. Incredibly clean play right here by Stephano. He leaves absolutely nothing to chance whatsoever, and he's just breezing through this at the moment. BratOK trying to deny this, however, there are delicious infestors right here, and, well, that's all of them dead. He tries to pick them up, but unfortunately, stuck to the floor.
And another south drop here, cleaned up, picked up, and left. And he's going to follow through with this with a few Marines, clean up some creature humans, try to take that 4th base location in the center of the map. Meanwhile, we do have 3 tanks at a time being added on here. Are going to be pretty good against Lings, but still, like we saw in the previous game, Infestors are on the way now, and they will be able to crush that quite easily.
Yep, Ultra-Ling Infestor combination right here from Stephano, which is proving to be an extremely strong build in this particular matchup. BratOK is able to stim through and do a little bit of damage to this drone transfer, and of course that'll be quite nice. Unfortunately, he's going to get cleaned up once again. He's trying to get into the corner right now, but he's getting ripped up, and he lost several already, and still, BratOK is now moving to try and secure this 4th base, and he's certainly not out of it yet. The main problem I have right now is that Stephano is cleaning up everything really quickly. He does have a bit of a disadvantage in a straight-up fight simply in terms of the army supply count, though.
Yeah, but, I mean, the army supply count, you got to figure that fungal growths should count as like 50 supply with the fungal growths they're going to have. So, I mean, despite the army supply, fungal growths are going to make a world of difference.
Yes, they will. And BratOK moving forward once again, looking to try and deny this. The creep spread is over halfway across the map right now. Zerglings and Ultralisks now moving into position, and BratOK needs to get the hell out of there immediately.
Yeah, he is, and he's just baiting. Both players kind of baiting because now the Infestors are there as well.
Yep.
And Stephano just playing nice and safe, touching this hatchery. And understandably, we see this, that the Planetary Fortress is up as well. And a little bit of a slip up from BratOK looking at this. There is no combat shields, actually.
That's not going to help, especially not against Ultralisks. And in he comes for a massive surround with a huge number of units, annihilates that initial Vanguard. Doesn't really want to go in against those tanks because of their positioning. Nice positioning by BratOK, but Stephano will be able to follow this up.
Yeah, I mean, without combat shields, it's going to be pretty difficult for him to hold on. Even though he's going to kill this hatchery, Stephano does have another one slightly northwest of this, and in comes a large Stephano army.
Yep, Zergling's coming in right there. Once again, doesn't want to run into the tanks. He's playing very cautiously, and I can hardly blame him for that. Why throw away a bunch of Zerglings when you don't have to?
Marine upgrades right now, 1-1 compared to the 2-2 Lings and the 4-2 Ultralisks. Plus 3 melee attack is on its way, and that ground carapace as well.
Yeah, that's going to be difficult. I mean, these guns are barely going to be hitting these Ultras whatsoever. They'll hit them for 2 once that upgrade comes in. That's really not a lot whatsoever. He'll have to rely on the tanks and the Marauders to really start punching through the armor of these Ultralisks. Even then, the damage will be reduced. Stephano's sitting very, very comfortably right here on this base, and he actually has 100 Zerglings because that's a nice round number to have.
Indeed it is, and potential for a lot of flanking maneuvers here from Stephano, and especially the way that BratOK is kind of trapped in the middle if he decides to move in. But look at this, there are bunkers and turrets though.
Yeah, he's starting to siege up in the middle of this, and that's a lot of Lings annihilated with that shelling. That said, I think it took quite a few of those Marines in as well. Ultralisks crashing through the right flank of the siege tanks, and hey, there's some fungal growths and some infested terrans. It's a variety pack right here from Stephano that annihilates the center, and that entrenched position was not exactly as tough as it looked. 180
supply, his money is so low, consistently remaxing. He still has all these 2 infestors left and a lot of fungal growth and infested terrans. And wow, 124 supply for BratOK. Even though he is losing these infestors, there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, he can just follow this one up with pretty much anything he likes at this point, and BratOK is going to try and desperately defend this planetary fortress, and of course damage will be done, but with Ultralisks in the mix, it's really hard to deal with. 1 Ultra goes down, second one will also detonate, maybe a third, and there we go. Planetary Fortress is actually still alive. That's so many repairs right there by BratOK. Nicely held, very nice.
Really nice there from BratOK. Manages to survive, and if that Planetary Fortress has gone down, so would have the game.
Yeah, that would have finished him entirely. So he had to hold it. He did so in a really great manner. Actually took a lot of Ultralisks off of Stephano as well. My concern really is that Stephano's economy is large enough that he can easily remax that. He can replace those units. It's not about efficiency for Stephano anymore.
Yeah, it's the 7 Ultras here and this fungal growth as well, so...
Oh, and that siege up was quite late as well. They only get off a single salvo before being absolutely demolished right here. Single Ultralisk goes down in flames right now. He rams his way through, and he'll once again perhaps try and take that planetary fortress. Or, of course, you can just wander into the base and start doing some real damage. Stephano now spawning more Zerglings, more Ultralisks, 4 at a time coming in right now. and that tank also caught out of position by the looks of it, and bringing some infestors in, which would be nice because BratOK is dodging around the place right now. Locking them down would be a good idea.
And Stephano almost throwing away, and oh, my PC is turned off.
That was perhaps the worst timing for that in the world.
Maybe it's some Windows updates again.
Oh, no, it's not. There's no Windows updates whatsoever. Your machine has actually just shut down. That's kind of unfortunate. You'll have to watch off on my screen for the moment. There's no way we can drop him.
Windows features this time.
Oh, my.
It's my new Asus laptop here in front of me.
Oh, well, that's pretty common to pretty much any machine. Stephano is bothered by the constant medevac sound buzzing in the background. I can hardly blame him for that, honestly. Oh well, 20 seconds before we see what ends up happening here. I have a feeling it might go in Stephano's favor. That said, those repairs have been pretty clutch thus far, and the Planetary Fortress has taken a lot of hits and also dealt out a lot of punishment.
10 seconds left till I get kicked out of the game for the second time this tournament.
We don't like you anymore.
I know. It's this laptop, son.
It's pretty much any computer that's set up for Windows updates. Never a good idea. D Apollo, you are indeed the weakest link. Let's try and get rid of you. You are irritating. You won't go away. There we go. And let's demolish the Planetary Fortress. There we go.
And that goes down, and that is the fortified position on this map. There are two drops going on at the same time, directly south and also a little bit at the north as well, but are going to be cleaned up before that goes down, I think.
Yep, quick Zergling surround right there, and of course he's got absolutely fully upgraded Zerglings. The only upgrade I can see is upgrading the Banelings, and that's for this high grade. Whatever the case, Stephano can demolish whatever he wants. He's got Adrenal Glands, he's got Ultralisk. BratOK setting up a siege line right here, and we'll have a quick look at his income after this crashes into his siege line and see how much damage he can do. Neural Parasite time, ladies and gentlemen, and Stephano now raining down some terror upon his opponent's forces, using their own weapons against them, and cleans that up incredibly fast as a direct result of that. A quick siege up, and he's already into the siege line, and those Ultralisks simply will not stop.
Wow, they're doing so much damage now. Ultras do turn back to go into these infestors, and look at that income that tells the story.
Yep, and unfortunately, Stephano's actually lacking any real means to shoot this command center, so it will stay up there for the time being. That said, it's not mining, and that really is the crucial thing. And BratOK is very close to being mined out, and everything he's got. In comes another wave of Ultralisks now, smashing through BratOK's defenses. There is so little left right now for him.
Yeah, and this looks like it's going to be a clean sweep in the 3rd to 4th place match by Stephano, going 3-0, 175 food versus 89 of BratOK now. Not looking good at all for the Russian Terran. Yeah,
we finally saw the rematch, folks. We finally saw that rematch that was supposed to happen. And there we go. This is what was going to happen, apparently.
A little bit better.
Yep, a little bit better, but extremely one-sided. I love BratOK to pieces. He's a fantastic player, but he's just been outclassed, and to say otherwise would be disrespect to both him and his opponent.
Yeah, and this hatchery is going to go down because Marauders in the late game are pretty good against structures. And that does hurt Stephano a little bit, but he can easily just go ahead and take another hatchery. BratOK, though, fighting till the very end, despite that gas income is pretty bad there.
Yeah, he is mining out with everything he's got right now. This is his sole mining base at this point. That is completely dealt with. This one is going back up, but there's really nothing to stop Stephano simply walking in and destroying it completely. He's looking for that right now. I expect to see infested Terrans under that any moment. Big mule drop right here for BratOK. Very, very smart. 9 mules on the field just to try and get his economy back in shape. We look at the production tab. It's primarily Marines, Marauders, and tanks coming out. And BratOK is now a 95 supply versus 187.
Yeah, this is pretty much over, unfortunately, for BratOK. Even though he doesn't want to leave, this is over. I mean, the command center's got to be lifted up again. And it's literally 5 Marauders versus about 10, 15 Marines. And that's a lot of infestors. That's a lot of...
he brought some friends. Well. Yep, he's going to try and do damage to that command center. And he might be able to kill it. Admittedly, these things run really, really slowly, so that probably won't work out so much. BratOK's simply hanging on and trying to defend as best he can, hoping there'll be a mistake. He's got a fairly large drop. If that gets hit by a fungal, that's instantly going to evaporate, though. Look at how damaged they are.
There was a drop on the left-hand side here. It was cleaned up on the lower ground. It's hard to spot looking at your computer, but it was cleaned up very easily there.
Oh yes, and this drop now redeploying right here to try and push from the lower ground. And Stephano not quite able to make his way into this base just yet. BratOK now going all in because he really doesn't have any other choice in the matter. And immediately stopped by 5 very scary infested Terrans. He deploys that, and there we go. BratOK now pushing down here. He's able to deny this, and he may even be able to deny that as well, simply because of the amount of firepower he has at his disposal. And you'll see Stephano is actually breaking off there deliberately in order to engage and just annihilate that. A single fungal growth will pick up 2 of these 3 medevacs, and this is really BratOK living on borrowed time right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's just trying to do as much damage to the economy, and it doesn't really matter too much because the economy of Stephano is not that good, to be honest, but the thing is, it's the army.
Well, yeah, he's got a massive army. He doesn't need money because he's pretty much maxed out with a massive infestor count. If you want to see massive infestor count, try 19.
It's a lot, and this army and the SCVs are not going to like this death.
I don't think so. I think this is going to be short, to the point, extremely painful, and also covered in goop. Oh, well. Well, that's Stephano going through very, very nicely indeed, showing a masterclass in TVZ. BratOK fights bravely, but unfortunately is simply outclassed.